The way the sports card market speculates on quarterbacks absolutely blows my mind. The other day, I watched a video from Tyler Short. If you haven't seen his stuff before, I recommend you go check it out. He made a nice video talking about the market crash / market correction, a lot of eBay data using Terapeak. I'd never actually used that data before. I was curious myself what I could find in that data. And so instead of looking at a macro level view of 30 players, I wanted to look specifically at 30 quarterbacks and how much money over the last 3 years has been spent on those quarterbacks. And so as you can see behind me, the data is shown in this particular case in a spreadsheet, looking at this year over year from 2021, 2022, and now 2023, the last 3 years of data. Quarterback spend from top to bottom, top 30. Now, this may not be 100% accurate. I will put a disclaimer there that there may be some inaccuracies in the data, and that's okay. Take it with a grain of salt, but I think by and large at a macro level, this is a pretty good glimpse of where people are spending their money and how much money they're spending on quarterbacks in this particular case on eBay. So, I've got my handy spreadsheet, my handy copy down below. Tom Brady leads everybody across all categories for the last 3 years running. $63 million in 2021, $36 million in 2022, and now $29.4 million in 2023. Now, the one thing I put a caveat in 2023, we had the Bowman Chrome autos come out from the Topps product. That might be mixed in that data just a little bit. That might have nudged that number a little higher than it probably would have been, but it is what it is. Then what's shocking is, and I think we all knew this, but the number of dollars spent on speculating on players who were completely unproven, literally the next 5 of the 6 guys are all guys that were rookies in that particular year. Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Tua Tagovailoa, Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence. These aren't proven players who've won anything. At that point in 2021, none of these guys had won a single playoff game, if I'm not mistaken. I maybe I'm wrong, but I think I'd be accurate in saying I don't think at that time Josh Allen had won a playoff game. I don't think Tua had even been to the playoffs. I know for sure Mac Jones had never won a playoff game. Justin Herbert hadn't even been to the playoffs then. He went to the playoffs last year. But the only one in that top 6 that had won anything besides Brady was Mahomes. And he was ranked number 3 behind Justin Herbert. The number of dollars spent on those top 5 guys was about half of the total spent on quarterbacks, and you can do the math. Pause it, take a screenshot, plug it into your iPhone calculator. These numbers are staggering. And I just looked at trading card singles when I filtered the data. Now, there might be a little bit of overlapping, that's fine because people tag certain players. They tag Tom Brady, they tag Patrick Mahomes in, let's say, complete your set, and they tag him in there, and that's certainly included in that data. Going further down that list, though, in 2021, we got a lot of usual suspects in there from that particular case. We got Lamar Jackson, we've got Jalen Hurts. He was a rookie in 2020, then playing in 2021. Obviously, they still hadn't made the playoffs with Jalen Hurts. You've got Justin Fields, who was a rookie that year. Jordan Love, who hadn't played because Aaron Rodgers was still on the Packers. We got Russell Wilson when he was on the Seahawks. We've got Deshaun Watson when he was still on the Houston Texans with his legal issues that he was going through at the time. Baker Mayfield, Dak Prescott, Trey Lance of all things. He was a rookie in that particular class with Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, a couple other guys, Zach Wilson there at the bottom of the list. It's ironic, though. A lot of people spent money on Trey Lance in 2022. Man, I hope they get that money back someday, but they're probably going to regret that one for sure. Looking forward in this particular list, sort of at the bottom of the list, one of the things I kind of noted, where do these guys rank in terms of their comparison with like a basketball player? Let's say like a Matt Stafford or Jared Goff. Matt Stafford obviously won a Super Bowl finally with the Los Angeles Rams. Jared Goff traded to the Lions. Lions are obviously pretty good this year, but in 2021, he was kind of thrown to the curb. The spend on those guys is by and large on par with like a De'Aaron Fox. in the basketball equivalent. So maybe I'm not a little bit surprised that those guys weren't spent a little more because, like say, Stafford won a Super Bowl. De'Aaron Fox had never been to the playoffs. De'Aaron Fox is a very good everyday player. We'll get into that in a separate video. That's neither here nor there. And then you look at the 2022 data, and you kind of look at that list, and you see Justin Herbert moving down the list, Joe Burrow moving up the list, Josh Allen moving up the list, Trevor Lawrence moving up the list, Mac Jones sort of maintaining. Now, that's not surprising because in 2021, they had made the playoffs in his rookie year. They lost to the Buffalo Bills. Who could forget that epic divisional round game between Mahomes and Allen? Went down to the wire. Epic comeback by Mahomes that throttled them to the championship game, but then they ultimately lost to the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Bengals went in the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow early in his career. So that's why we see Joe Burrow shoot up that list with a lot of sales in 2022, and Patrick Mahomes sagged a little bit. Then it kind of flipped the script the following year. But you look at that in terms of the other players, a lot of people speculated on Trey Lance going into the 2022 season. That didn't pay off at all. People speculate on Justin Fields. That didn't pay off at all. People were pretty, staying put on guys like Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa. A little bit of speculation there on Zach Wilson. He was creeping up the list. As you can see in that, he was kind of middle of the pack. Then you've got guys like Russell Wilson, Davis Mills. Who could forget Davis Mills? I almost forgot about Davis Mills. Davis Mills was hot for like a fleeting second when the Texans were, moving off Deshaun Watson, and everybody's like, well, somebody's got to take Deshaun Watson's place. Davis Mills got to be investing heavily in Davis Mills. Well, $2.5 million later, I don't even think he's going to get another starting job in the NFL. So, yeah, sorry about your luck on that one. Then you got usual suspects of Deshaun Watson again, Matt Stafford, Jordan Love was sagging because he hadn't still started. Kenny Pickett was a rookie in that particular class. A little bit of money spent on him. He gets spent up a lot in the following year. We'll get into that in a little bit. Looking at guys like Brock Purdy, he really didn't start till the very, very end of the season when some injuries happened to Jimmy G, and then he took off. There wasn't a lot of product available at the end of 2022 as well, so that's not really shown in the data till the following year, which makes a lot of sense. But then, the rest of the list is what it is. So moving forward to 2023, the list changes a little bit. Mahomes is now right behind Brady in terms of spend, but it's still a lot of money. $24 million, which is crazy. Crazy money. Joe Burrow still coming in at number 3, almost $19 million. Trevor Lawrence now number 4, coming in at almost $15 million. Brock Purdy now number 5. So he was really creeping up the list, even though he hadn't had a lot of product out. Then you got Jalen Hurts right behind him. He had made it to the Super Bowl, lost to Mahomes. Justin Herbert sagging down that list. Actually, I'm surprised that he didn't fall more. I think next year we're going to see a huge drop in Justin Herbert, although he does have a lot of cards to be sold. And so even at the right price, people are still going to buy those cards. But by and large, they've already lost the money on those, and they probably will have a very difficult time getting a lot of that money back. And then we see right behind Josh Allen, he is still kind of top 10. We got Kenny Pickett. Oof, yeah, that doesn't seem like that's going to work out. Justin Fields, I don't think that's going to work out. Tua Tagovailoa, I'm actually surprised he's not higher. I think if they make a playoff run, that could go more in the direction of top 5. But we'll see it very similar to like a Jalen Hurts, but we have to let that play out. Then you look at guys like Jordan Love. They're going to be right around 500. Aaron Rodgers got hurt early in the season for the Jets. And then you've got Mac Jones. I'm surprised he's still on. He will not make this top 30 list next year. I guarantee you that. Unless his stuff is dirt cheap and everybody's just looking to flip it and people are looking to buy low-end lottery tickets with almost said Justin Fields. Maybe him too. But Mac Jones cards. And then further down the list, you got Desmond Ridder, as SCV calls him. That's SCI's favorite guy, Desmond Ridder. Who could forget that one? I don't think we'll see him move up that list next year. I actually think he'll move back down that list. That was a lot of money spent leading into the season, a lot of spec plays between Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, and a couple other guys from the 2022 draft class. Brock Purdy, forgot about him. But by and large, a lot of these guys aren't going to work out. Brock Purdy looks like he probably will work out, but that is a system quarterback. I actually think on that team, the best player is probably Christian McCaffrey, but he will not get the credit in the hobby, nor get the MVP that he deserves. Toot my own horn on that. I had the second pick in my fantasy draft, and he was my pick, and he catapulted me to a very, very good win this year in fantasy. Thank you, Christian McCaffrey, for bringing that bacon home for ERB Sports. Further down that list, we've got guys like CJ Stroud now emerging. He didn't have a lot of cards up until some more recent releases. We got a lot of issues going on with regards to the release schedule and things like that. Trey Lance falling down that list. I'm actually surprised he was still even on this list. There must be a lot of leftovers, a lot of high-end stuff that people are trying to just flip and get out of. And even if people are seemingly getting a good deal on it, it's still probably garnering a pretty good price tag overall when you think about it. Then you got guys like Dak Prescott. Again, he could catapult up this list, but he's more like a Matt Stafford kind of guy. I don't expect him to go too much higher on this list unless he starts winning championships. He's just always been a historic divisional round plus or minus a game as his whole career, kind of like an Aaron Rodgers. Even though Aaron Rodgers won a Super Bowl, Dak Prescott's kind of been that same guy, Matt Stafford-like, where he really hasn't ever gone over the hump, but maybe it'll happen someday. Zach Wilson, I'm surprised he cracked the top 30 in this list, $1.5 million. Ironically enough, I'll show a basketball video soon, but that is the exact same amount of money spent between Zach Wilson and De'Aaron Fox in 2023. They literally had the same sports card singles total in terms of dollars spent, which is crazy. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to think that Zach Wilson had the same amount of money spent on him that you have spent on a guy who right now is 5th or 6th in the league in scoring in the NBA, having his best season of his career. The Kings are not the greatest team in the league, but they're still pretty good. They're 5th in the West. They're right in the heart of it. He's in the top 7 in the MVP odds market right now. I cannot believe that De'Aaron Fox and Zach Wilson, in terms of dollars spent on them, is nearly identical. That just blows my mind. So, to summarize, this TerraPeak data, it's interesting data. It really, really is interesting data. I do find it helpful, but there has some flaws. I will say that you have to filter the data a little bit. The more you filter it, the more you can kind of get granular on it. But if you want a really macro level view, I think this is a pretty good way to get a glimpse of where the money is going in the market. To summarize, how much money is spent on quarterbacks in terms of trading card singles as it's tagged on eBay in the sold listings? If you look year over year, in 2021, that number was $252 million. In 2022, it sagged by $34 million to $218 million. And in 2023, it sagged again by another $21 million to $197 million. Still a lot of money being spent on these quarterbacks. It's crazy, crazy, crazy money. Make that make sense. Help me in the comments below make sense of all of this, because I don't understand it. I'm not a quarterback investor / spec player. I pick basketball players. They're my bread and butter when it comes to the eye test. I love watching football. I love fantasy football. I just don't believe in buying quarterbacks when a lot of these guys, unless they win Super Bowls, they're just, at the end of the day, they're average NFL players. They have high IQs. They've obviously got to be very good at play calling, thinking on the fly. And that's definitely separating them from some other positions on the field in terms of value. But I don't put the value on them that the market does. And to summarize again, how much money is spent on quarterbacks in the last 3 years combined? That total is almost $750 million, which is insane. I need to look at the same data for running backs, receivers, defensive ends, etc., but I was just curious. When I started this video, I talked about make this make sense for quarterback spec plays. Help me understand this, because I don't get it. I don't understand why people are just the next big thing, the Mac Jones, the Trevor Lawrence, the Brock Purdy. You fear of missing out on these guys before they become Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady 2.0. It just almost always doesn't work out. And so I wanted to look at the data. Tyler Shorts video last night inspired me to look at the data. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Like, subscribe, share, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Actually, I'll see you